Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. Actually, still a little bit more time. Hey, everybody, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. It's going to be the pilot for today's aiR for Case Strategy session. So hope you're ready to enjoy. Got clear skies and smooth sailing today. Or flying, maybe not sailing. Different webinar. All right, gonna wait a few more seconds. Looks like we may have some people still trickling in, but go ahead and get started. My name is Andrew Malauskas. I am the pilot for today to take you through aiR for Case Strategy, hoping for some clear blue skies so we can quickly and smoothly get through everything here today. So going to go ahead and jump in. So first up, what is aiR for Case Strategy? There's three central components of it. There's a fact generation. So you provide some inputs, and we'll kind of cover this more in a little bit. Provide some inputs, point it to a safe search of documents, and essentially it builds out facts. And we'll dive into what that looks like. So you can focus on higher value legal work. You have a witness summary component. So you're taking some of those facts, you're providing some inputs, and then you're gaining some early insights from that witness summary that's generated. And then there's also a deposition outline feature. And so essentially you can help prepare for deposition and get some questions kind of queued up. And so that's the three main features of aiR for Case Strategy. So how do you access aiR for Case Strategy? First off, it's an application that needs to be installed called aiR for Case Strategy. Essentially, there's a case home button that you'll see. So you'll see the tab on the screen, kind of in that middle screenshot. And it unlocks the key features of essentially what we just talked about, but create a fact chronology, create a deposition outline, and create a witness summary. So what is the case home? It's a tab installed with aiR for Case Strategy application. You can essentially run and view those three components we just talked about. You have an inline editing feature, which allows for some quick edits. You have a document preview that's available. And just a little bonus tip that most people don't consider, you can actually generate a dashboard to kind of help filter on some of those facts that you have there. So first, we're going to be talking about creating a fact chronology. So what do you need? How do you get there, and what results do you get? So you have a safe search of documents. You have your inputs. The input questions are in the bottom left there. What are you trying to prove? Matter overview, issues, people and aliases, noteworthy organizations, additional context, and document summary instructions. And then you feed it through aiR, or aiR in the middle there. And then essentially what you get back, you get a fact date, description, document summary, citation, fact score, whether it's helpful, harmful, and a lot more. And so essentially, here's just a quick screenshot of what those inputs are. The great thing about relativity, right? It's essentially not just giving you empty information. You are essentially getting some sample information that you can drive off of. So you can see the italicized text that's on the screen. You can type in that information there. So definitely have that available to you. So what information do you get? You get a fact date that's generated, of course, if that's available, fact, description of that particular fact. You get it to identify the aiR issues that you supplied it, some entities that you supplied it, and then also other entities as well. Document summary, you get fact documents. So you get the documents that are actually hyperlinked, because of course you can have multiple facts per document. You get a citation, and then you get a fact score, which is essentially, based on the inputs that you provided. Is it relevant? Is it not relevant? Based on that information. Argument for the fact score, whether it's helpful or harmful, and then of course you have a field where you can sort on the prompt criteria name. So if you run multiple iterations, you can kind of keep track with that field that you have. So for memo generation, just to jump into that, what you essentially want to do, and this is our case home screen, you're going to see all the way on the left, you have the create a deposition outline, you have a create a witness summary, you'll see that you have a date, one of the key components that you need, and then you also need to be able to filter on a entity. So, because obviously if you're running something that's a witness summary, you want to make sure that person is actually involved in the fact and not just an outlier. And so to create a witness summary, some of the same information that you would need, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to have the facts that you've selected, you're going to have your inputs with the questions down in the bottom left, and then you're going to essentially get a little bit of information back about the witness background, involvement, and the facts outline. So, and we'll touch on that a little bit more in just a little bit. So looking at some of this, essentially the same screens that we saw before on the screenshot. The one that's different is that entity information that you see that's boxed in red. And then just a witness summary. So you can see this, we got some fun Bridgerton sample data set for aiR for case strategy. So we have our background summary on Lady Whistledown. So you can see the job title, the other names, work history. So spoiler, if you have never seen it and planned on seeing it, sorry. And then you have witness involvement to the matter. So you get some summary. You get the entities that are associated, get legal issues, and we'll dive into that a little bit more, but just wanted to give you a quick overview of what that looks like. For the deposition outline, same kind of component. You're going to select those facts that you have. You're going to fill out those inputs. So we've got the inputs down there on the bottom left. And then essentially you get back legal issues, documents, exhibits, additional line of inquiry, and then helpful and harmful analysis. And so here you're going to see the additional fields that you have. So the purpose of the deposition, right, so just so you have a general overview while it's populating that. And then here you can see we have some Ted Lasso deposition outline for Rupert Mannion, Boo. Anyway, I guess nobody can respond, but so basically you can come up. So for some of the issues that we have: slander, defamation, poaching key players, interference with sponsorship deals. Right? If you've seen the show, you probably pretty much remember some of this. But you can see that it references some of the documents as well, and it gives you that line of inquiry, right? So it gives you those questions that you can ask. So if you are, Harvey Specter, or you're Mike Ross or Louis Litt, and you're trying to litigate this case, you can use this as a baseline or a starting point to help build some of those questions. Really helps from starting from essentially nothing, or just to give you some general ideas or starting points. So we could jump in and take our first look. So what I'm going to do here is pull this over. So we're in our demo, our aiR for case strategy workspace here that we have. Over here on the left, you're going to see that we have that case dynamics, and you're going to see we have the case homes, which of course is the screen that we're on right here. Just so you have a general idea, over here on the left, you have the options, the three options that we discussed. As I noted on the slide deck, most people generally don't realize this until you get here. You can see the bottom two options are grayed out. So our deposition outline and our witness summary, they're grayed out because we haven't selected any facts. So if we needed to filter on particular facts, we could do that. So if I click on this one right here, you're going to see it immediately unlocks that. So you can only select a certain key bit of information. Just a few other notes as well. You have the inline editing ability. So I can go ahead and click on that. And so essentially you're going to have the ability to click in and edit some of these fields. So if you think that this fact score is a 2, which is meaning it's less important, 4 being higher scoring importance, we could go ahead and change that. If you think something is helpful, neutral, harmful, go ahead and change that as well, and some of the other fields that you can create there too. So just pop my page out here. And so essentially what we're going to do now is just kind of touch in and talk about each of the primary date information and all the other metadata fields that we have here. So we have our date that's populated off of the document. We have our fact. So it just gives you some quick information about harm for reputation of the Queen, which is, if you've seen Bridgerton, essentially came up with this case that essentially the Queen must prove that Lady Whistledown pamphlets contain false information about the royal family, which are published with malicious intent and causing harm to their reputation, right? So you can see some of the issues that are populated here. So we have harm to reputation, we have our entity. For this document, we have falsity of statements and harm to reputation. And then we have other entities here as well. So our Queen, Miss Marina Thompson and Miss Bridgerton. And so you'll see if we go back over to the description here, Lady Whistledown introduces Miss Marina Thompson as a remarkable jewel, suggesting that the Queen might consider her high praise for Miss Bridgerton. So you can kind of see document summary. You can see the citation of that particular information, the score of the document. So you can see this is something that's less important. Whereas, if we scroll down and we looked and try to find something that is a higher scoring, we can definitely go ahead and find some, or we could filter on that particular data set. So you can see this one is a 4, and so it's a higher scoring document. So I just wanted to jump in and show those things. If we wanted to read the document, you have the little preview icon up here. So you can see, you got some of the document preview and highlighting, so you can see all of that information there. Go ahead and hide that. And then up top here, we're gonna have essentially our case documents. So when we do run our deposition outline or our witness summary down here, you can essentially kind of just pull this down, get some more real estate for that. And then we can click on our witness summary. So this is essentially what we saw on the screen. So it has the summary, all the entities that are associated, the legal issues that we added. And so you can see from some of the prompt information that I have here, we have falsity of statements, harm to reputation, malicious intent, publication identification, and freedom of the press versus defamation. So you'll see all of those kind of addressed. You can see that it's broken out by helpful and harmful. So you have that capability there, and then it'll also will list any document identifiers that you have here as well. So you can see those that are here. And also at the bottom gives you a facts outline. So you can go ahead and kind of see that key information based on those facts broken down by the issues. So pretty amazing. I mean, stepping back and looking at the fact generation, how were people doing this previously? I mean, typically, right, you're reading the document, maybe you're entering it into a field, and then coming back to it at a later date. Here, you can go ahead, maybe use aiR for review to kind of separate those responsive documents that you have out from that standpoint, maybe run them through aiR for case strategy, have them generate those facts out of the documents. And then from here, you can create that witness summary and that deposition outline, just validating, along the way in each of those tools to make sure you have everything that you need. And definitely, I mean, a huge time saver from having somebody do this. And with these tools also, I mean, one of the things that I kind of find and that seems to happen kind of periodically on medium, large cases, you may have people that are floating in, floating out, kind of coming in the middle, or maybe even like towards the end. Really getting them up to speed is pretty critical. So just one of those things to kind of consider and using these types of tools. And then down here, we have our deposition outline. Scroll up for that. And so we have our deposition outline for Rupert. So we have our issues. So little bit different than the Bridgerton set, but just kind of talks about each of those pieces, gives you some questions. Describe Rupert's behavior after the match between AFC Richmond and West Ham. How did Rebecca react? It's just some things to consider What did Rebecca say to Zava about Rupert's intentions? So you got that, and then you have some of the documents and exhibits with some of the key information that's extracted from the data set. So with that, I mean, we are pretty much towards the end of our webinar, sticking into the 15-minute overview. So happy to answer any questions. So if people want to toss those in the chat, more than happy to. So just feel free to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to pull up the chat just to make sure we are good to go. All right, perfect. All right, so let's see questions that are coming in. Cool. Oh, cool. Wow, lots of questions. We got some great questions. So you talked about the FACT score. What's the low? What's the high? So the FACT score is 0, essentially being not important, 4 being very important, and obviously the scale in between. Can you give me numbers for the various pieces? Oh, okay. I think I know what you mean. If not, please feel free to clarify. So the prompt name field is 256 characters. Each one of those input boxes is 4,096. Documents you can submit to aiR for once. That's 1,500 documents at the moment. As a limited general availability of relativity released on March 1st. So that may change in the future. So when you watch this webinar, keep that in mind. Let's see what else. What is the extracted text size limit? So it's 600 kilobytes. Great question. I guess also to note that as well, if you do have documents with little to no text and you do submit those, it may not return any facts, so take that into consideration when you run this. Does it look at metadata? Wow, great question. So it's only looking at the extracted text of the file, so it's not taking any metadata into consideration. As of right now, you can't point it to any metadata fields like, hey, look at this or look at that. So feel free to consider maybe leveraging, the other tools in relativity, the search and the filtering and all those different types of things for that. So just something to consider there. All right, let's keep on rolling here. We've used this before and we're coming across duplicates. How do you typically handle that, or what would you recommend? Wow, this is a great question. So I guess a few different things that I would say there. So I know Relativity is developing a tool called Intelligent Fact Management, something very similar to that. That is essentially a way to analyze and deduplicate. And the other ways to consider is when you're selecting your documents up front, you could potentially either kind of review them or sort them up front, kind of do some analysis up front before you submit them to aiR, or on the flip side, right, you could kind of analyze the results after they're done. You get them on that kind of that grid view. And so what you could do is you could sort by the entity, you could sort by the issue using those fields. So definitely something that you could consider doing there from that standpoint. So definitely take that into consideration. And then you talked about dashboard. Can you show us if you have one? I do. Sorry, I skipped over that. So back to our case here, you can see our dashboard that we have here. We have kind of 2 different fact chronologies that we've run using prompt criteria. So you can filter on that. You can filter on the primary dates that you have, the fact score, or helpful, harmful, or neutral. So definitely can add additional widgets too based on some of these fields. So you can add that in. So that is the great question. Sorry, I missed that. And, perfect. Does the system learn as you get more documents? That's a great question. So actually, it does not learn. Essentially, every document is like it has a clean slate. So you're essentially giving it the prompt criteria and essentially the text of the document, and then it essentially wipes the memory of that. So um, definitely, definitely great question there. All right, so let me see. Any more questions? I mean, feel free to keep them coming. Um, all right. What are your recommendations for writing prompt criteria? That's great. That's probably a whole nother webinar on its own. I guess I would say is less is more. Try to be more concise. If you have something that is like a case overview, a protocol that you're giving at the beginning of the matter, I would say that's a good starting point, but I would kind of consider maybe um, like normalizing the text. Don't too much. Don't put in like explanations of the law. Don't just kind of keep it simple and to the point. Or don't give it any commands, those types of things. So um, definitely something to consider. The other thing I would also say, right, if you have a large data set, whether this is any of the aiR for review or aiR for case strategy, yeah, I wouldn't run it immediately against all your documents, right? Maybe run it against a handful just to kind of see what you get back, see the facts that you get back, the results for aiR for review that you would get back, and then do that in like an iterative process. Just trying to find the right pairing of words, phrases that you want, and then obviously like things you don't know. If you ran aiR for case strategy or aiR for review without having much insight into the case, obviously you're going to learn so many things along the way, just like you would on like a linear review. So yeah, I think that is all the questions that I see. So all right, perfect. Well, thank you all so much for attending. Really appreciate it. Happy Pi Day. Um, I'm a fan of 3.1 more than 3.14, but good running joke. And happy March Madness, I guess tournament weekend. So next month's going to be an overview of what an ARM is, kind of like the breakdown of that. One of my colleagues is going to be running with that. But thank you so much for attending. Feel free to contact us if you like, and happy to talk about any aiR product further, really anything further. So thank you so much for your time on a Friday afternoon, and hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.